Sorry for the crude mock-up here. Hopefully it doesn't seem overly complicated. It is really simple. First I wanted to point out that these HDMI over IP media adapters can be either point-to-point or point to multi-point or multi-point to multi-point. So I currently have it where it's set up as a point-to-point setup. Here's a monitor to represent one of the TVs. I'm using a Roku as a video source. We have the receiver running across Cat 5. I have this coupler in here to represent like a patch panel at like a head end. The reason for that is that a lot of media adapters won't allow you to use patch cables in the middle of a run. I can explain how the patch panels work a little more in depth, either in a different video or explain to you at a different time if I need to. But continuing on, we have another Cat 5 ran into a transmitter, which is where the Roku is plugged in. Going back through again, you see we have HDMI over just a standard network drop, which these Cat 5, Cat 6, this is some of the cheapest cable that can be ran without costing a whole bunch, and it's very universal when it comes to adding media adapters. Set up like this as far as point-to-point, there's other options. These adapters, the HDMI adapters, could be swapped out for like VGA balance. These are strictly point-to-point, they're not IP, but there are some VGA and component to IP adapters that can also be integrated with these HDMI ones. If for some reason an older protocol needs to be interfaced with it. So that's the gist of the point-to-point setup. So if we add another receiver and another monitor, we can tie the transmitter here back to an unmanaged switch. In this case, just an off-the-shelf unmanaged switch. We'll take the other transmitter here and plug it into the unmanaged switch. So now we have a transmitter and two receivers. The transmitter is addressed to 0-1. We have the receiver set to 0-1, and this receiver is set up to 0-1. And now you can see we have single source mirroring on both displays. If we wanted to have different video sources on each of these, it's just a matter of adding a second or other transmitters. So I have a second transmitter with an Apple TV, connected it connected to it for the video source, and it is connected with a Cat5 to the unmanaged switch. It is addressed to 02. So we could pick either one of these receivers, and we could just change the receiving address to show. And that pulled in, that's just the Apple TV screensaver there. So now we have two different video sources playing on each one. Or if you want both of them on, you can change this to 02. And it can be set using the buttons on the front of the receivers, or an IR, or through a web interface through the devices. But now that we have both receivers set to 2, you can see, without changing any of the wiring, we're able to watch different sources. And all of this is basically hot swappable. If you thought about each one of these ports as a different like drop, network drop in the room, and you wanted to move, like, say you wanted to stage like a computer, for instance, like a laptop, on the other side of the room from where it normally would set, you could just drop one of these in, or move it from, like, say, the closet to the other side of the room, wherever you're wanting it, next to a wall jack. Plug it in, and just to demonstrate that it's just hot, or that it is hot swappable. Of course, it's an unmanaged switch, but just to show that it can be done quickly and it syncs back up. I'm gonna take this and wake the Apple TV up here. So it instantly reconnected to the receivers without changing any of the configuration in the receivers or having to change network settings. Now, this setup is completely standalone at this point, so it's not touching any of the, it's not touching the internet or any of the other devices on a network. This is set up completely standalone. That being said, it can be integrated into a network that has other devices that's either segmented or unsegmented via VLAN, as long as it can, whatever router and switches that are being used can handle UTP traffic. So I think that's all I can think of. I hope this doesn't make this whole setup seem complicated, but it's actually really simple, plug and play. But it can also be expanded, and it could be integrated into way more complex setups as your needs grow.